you very much. I realize you spent more than we anticipated, but I just want to bring one or two things to your notice, and maybe you could say a little bit more. We have a form letter here of GOL tax payment transfer. We spoke about them, and you said you were authorized to make these transfers. Then you will be giving us some documentation on some of the presidential authorizations. But basically they are signed by you and specific accounts are identified. Some of them I can recognize. And I was wondering whether you have an idea as to who these account holders were. For example, Nations Bank, Florida. The amount of 91,000 was directed for transfer in July.
I have that. That, you know, hindsight is something. Now that I look hindsight on those letters, I should have preceded those letters with by authority of the president. I did not do that because at the time these letters were done under really high pressure situation. But I had the listing in front of me with his initials and his okay and all of that, and all of those were listed.
You still have that listing?
I still got it. That's the same one. So each one, and then the nature of the transfer, the reason for the transfer is also listing. Is also listed.
It's
so
possible.
If I had thought about it, I would have.
That these were just means of what's the word you use? Of cleaning up money for illegal purposes.
Is it possible it was what?
This money were being laundered.
Launder money. How would you know if you see a payment to Nations Bank for uniforms for the police? How would you know?
Because one of these, Hong Kong and Shanghai.
Shanghai, those, I think that's the one for the boat, the patrol boat.
Yeah.
Everything there, every one of those letters has an explanation in the listing that he initialed. Right.
Hong Kong and Shanghai are arms dealers.
I have no idea. I'm sorry, I don't know.
Bank of New York is an account established by Myron Shaw when he was Minister of Finance, and all subsequent ministers of China of Finance have been signatory to this account. Bank Diamante and Versul of Mr. Sanjivan Rupa. He's a renowned,
yes, I saw his name on the list.
He's a renowned arms dealer.
I saw his name.
And that's 500,000.
Yeah.
So please, we will.
I will give you a photocopy of that. Yeah. It's in my office right now, and I don't think my people are closed yet. If somebody wanted to go with me, I'll just hand it out to them.
Tomorrow is okay. You mean
tomorrow? Okay.
Then lastly, I will not go through the other ones. We recognize that these were abnormal times.
I mean, I have no idea that those accounts were being made, specifically since there wasn't any mention. Yeah. Maybe it was done deliberately so that I would know what was going on, because like I said, we did strictly professionally. If he wanted to do something straight and above board, he would write to me and I would do it. And like I said, in hindsight, maybe I should have said by authorization of, and then it wouldn't look as if I did it on my own. But I do have that letter, and I mean, there were about 3 or 4 people waiting to have that thing. It was rush. I remember the situation very well, and so I was just doing these letters quickly. They were all in the computer, and I guess there's some of the stuff that were taken out. And the reason given to me was that the auditors were coming and they wanted to show that this money was paid in good faith to the government. All right? And that's about, and if you look through my work at the Ministry of Finance, that is about the only unusual transaction that came out of my office under my signature. And all of that payment, I understand, have been done like 1999, 2000, and those letters were actually done in 2003. And the computer will show that.
Were there any personal gains out of all of these transactions?
No, I'm sorry. There wasn't any personal gain. I just thought that I was doing something in the line of duty. There wasn't any personal gain whatsoever. There were just instructions received, which I carried out. And that's probably one of the reasons he preferred to deal with me, because I didn't ask any questions. I just read it out.
One last question, ma'am. A lot has been said about Greater Diamond. Do you have any idea on what was their mission, how they came in, how they unceremonious?
Greater Diamond never really settled in. There was a lot of talk about Greater Diamond. They brought in equipment. The duty-free, according to the law, only the president actually can authorize duty-free unless you have a concession agreement. Duty-free to bring in all the heavy equipment was granted by the president. And there was one situation where he asked that the customs people go in to a certain office that they had and access the equipment that had been brought in. And that Greater Diamond were required to pay duty on it, even though the stuff had come in duty free. I don't know what went wrong, but I was asked to send customs people in. And so when my customs people went in to accept the equipment, I think they had all been taken out. And that was the only thing that I had with them, with Greater Diamond.